Well, good morning. It's good to be with you on this Thursday morning as we continue together in our examination of Luke's Sermon on the Plain. Um, we're reading verses 43 through 45 of chapter 6, 43 through 45. Excited about Thursday morning when you're watching this. Depending on when you're watching, if you're watching when it come out at 7 o'clock, it may not be the case, but if you're watching it anytime after 8, I'm really excited today. My son, who is now a pilot, he has his private pilot's license, is going to take me up in the air. So me and Thomas are going to fly over to Meridian is the plan. So you may, while you're watching this, I may be up and away. So I'm excited about that. Somebody said, why Meridian? I'm like, well, it's been a running joke for me and Thomas that apparently the Meridian airport gives pilots free hot dogs and hamburgers. So I've been telling him that I'm getting my free hot dog out of my free hamburger out of this pilot stuff. So I'm going to get my free hot dog and hamburger today, to Thursday. So I'll put a picture on Facebook of me enjoying my free food that I'm getting because my son's a private pilot now. So good times. So let's read Luke 6:43 through 45. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. Figs are not gathered from thorns, nor are grapes picked from a bramble bush. The good treasure of the heart produces good, and the evil person out of the evil treasure produces evil. For it's out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. You know, what's else saying? You squeeze lemons, you get lemonade, or you squeeze whatever the saying is. Um, what's inside when you're squeezed? I've said this before about marriage. Marriage doesn't so much change who you are as much as it shows what's underneath. And so, what Jesus is saying is that from the abundance of our heart, from whatever's in our heart, is going to be what comes out. Whenever we're pressed, when we're squeezed, you squeeze an orange, and orange juice is going to come out. You get one of those little juicers, you squeeze the orange and the juice comes out. You know, you squeeze something and stuff comes out. You squeeze the toothpaste tube and toothpaste is coming out. So what comes out? Well, what um what flows from us? What flows from us? There's an old saying, garbage in, garbage out. What is within our heart? And if our heart is full of grace, if our heart is full of mercy, if our heart is full of God's goodness and God's love, then what will flow from our hearts? Goodness. What will flow from our lives? No good tree is going to bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. So you're not going to see an apple tree start growing pears. You're not going to see corn stalks start putting up butter beans. It's not going to happen. The tree is going to bear the fruit or the vegetable or the whatever of the kind of tree, bush, or vine that it is. That's the way it works. So, whereas much as what did we say yesterday, don't judge. That we Christians shouldn't be in the judging business, so we don't judge as much as that's the case. I heard somebody say there's a difference between judging and being a fruit inspector. So we shouldn't judge others, correct. But we can't look at others and see what kind of fruit they're producing. What kind of fruit they're producing. What kind of fruit are you producing in your life? I often think of a quote that I've heard attributed to John Wesley. I don't know the original source of the quote, but I've always heard it attributed to John Wesley, where he said, "Do not tell me that you are a Christian, but I will follow you. I will observe your lifestyle, and I will tell you if you're a Christian." Our Christian life should be seen in how we live our life. We shouldn't have to go around telling folks we're a Christian. People should just know. They should just see. Our faith should be apparent for everyone who witnesses it or watches it, that that's who we are. So the question then often is well, what are we? Who are we? And we talked about grace and judgment and what we're feeding. What are we, what path are we choosing to walk down? Um, who are you? Who are you? And one of the ways you can check out who you are is to check out what fruit you're producing. What's coming out of you? So the good person out of the good treasure of the heart produces good, and the evil person out of the evil produces evil. For it's out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. That the mouth speaks. We're we're studying. We're over the month of August. We're in worship at St. Matthew's. We're going to be using this classic book by Bishop Reuben Job entitled Three Simple Rules. It's about a Wesleyan way of living. In fact, it's funny. My book here that I'm reading from is Rayford Woodrick's book. This is Rayford's book, given to him by one of my favorite bishops, Bishop Hope Morgan Ward, who was the bishop that ordained me. But this this book this week we're speaking on spoiler for Sunday's sermon. We're talking about the concept of doing first do no harm. Um, we don't want to do harm to people because we see others as of value. And so you don't harm other people because other people have value. They have purpose. They have worth. And so if someone has worth, you don't want to harm them, which means we have to learn to see others as having worth. And so we have to ask ourselves by what we say, are we making a difference in who they and help in their life and how and who they are becoming and who they are. And I'm putting like this in my sermon, like the spoilers for my sermon. So you St. Matthew's folk are watching this, you might hear this again repeated Sunday in your sermon. We don't always know what to say, but most of the time we know what not to say. You know, we might not always know how to make it better, but we usually know the phrase, word, tone of voice, comment, whatever that can make it worse. And so for Wesley, one of his first rules was don't do any harm. Don't make it worse. Don't make a bad situation worse. Don't. So if you ever have to say, I probably shouldn't say this, well, don't say it. Don't don't say the thing. When you lead by saying I shouldn't say this, but just stop there. You don't have to keep going. Um, so what is underneath? Are we a healthy tree bearing good fruit? Or are we an unhealthy tree bearing bad fruit? By the Bible says, by your fruit you will know them. So what fruit are we bearing? And Jesus, so Jesus, you can see this in context of where we find this passage. Right before it, he talks about judging others. And so judgment might be a fruit that we're bearing. Um, love your enemies before that might be a fruit that we're bearing. Now, these are not good fruits. Hating people is not a good fruit, but it is a fruit you bear. Judgment of others is not a good fruit, but it's a fruit you bear. Tomorrow we're going to talk about houses built on sand versus foundation of a rock. What are we building our life on? So if you build your house on sand and the wind knocks it over, well, that's fruit. That's fruit, but it's not the good fruit. So whatever's inside, whatever's inside is going to come out. Whatever's inside is going to come out. So one of the ways to know what's inside is to look at what's coming out. And if you are not happy with what's coming out, and if what's coming out is not glorifying your Lord, glorifying your God, increasing your faith, pointing others to Jesus, if what's coming out is not a good thing, then the question we need to ask ourselves is, well, what's on the inside? What's on the inside? Because whatever's on the inside, it's going to come out. For it's out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. What's on the inside and what is showing in your life. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Tomorrow we're going to wrap up the sermon on the plain by looking at the two foundations. So we'll see you in the morning. Thanks.